Hey everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be going over the best silver stacking strategy for 2022. It's something I've put a lot of thought into, and I'm pretty confident that it's good advice, but as always, I'm always interested in hearing what you have to say, so leave a comment below if you would do anything differently, because it will probably help some of the other viewers and watchers. With that being said, let's get into the video. Now, I'm taking a page out of the 1960 United States Navy playbook when I go back to a principle that's called the KISS principle. It's keep it simple, silly, or some would say that the last word would be stupid, but the idea is this should not be a super complicated, really tricky style of whether it's investing, entertainment, collecting, stacking. This is not, by the way, an investment advice. This is all entertainment. But you can still think about it in terms of how it's going to apply to your specific situation. But the whole idea with silver stacking is not to get caught up in a really complicated item. So I have some sort of silly, in my opinion, silver, like this 25-ounce silver bullet. I've also got, since I am a YouTube channel, sort of to show you what not to buy, some of the items like silver bullion that's graded or really high quality, like proof silver. I mean, there's still some collecting enjoyment, and I'll have a little bit of an aside on that, but the basic thing is going to be to keep it simple, and that will be my third point. I'm going to elaborate on that. Before we do that, though, I do want to mention two brief points. The first is to understand how much silver you currently own and your total assets. So say you have an investment portfolio, so to speak, of $5,000 and you have $2,500 worth of silver that's included in that. That means you've got 50% of your investments in silver, and that seems pretty high to me. Now again, it's not investment advice. You can do whatever you want, but I think there's not too many people that would recommend over, say, a 15% allocation to silver, because you have to think there could be some other precious metals opportunities, but there's also things like real estate, stocks, bonds. There's all sorts of investments. It could be different funds that invest in other asset classes, and I just think that, for me, if I had 50% of silver personally, even if I thought silver was due to rise, I would probably just want a little bit more diversification. The next point is that you have to understand if you're doing it as a hobby or a pure investment, or where on that scale you're sort of going to fall in. So, you might enjoy having some rounds or bars like the ones in front of me, some nice silver pours. I mean, this is probably not the ideal way to invest. Certainly, if you just want 10 ounces of silver, it might be better and a lower premium to go with a 10-ounce silver bar. Now, you want to be able to split things up, and there's a whole other host of reasons why maybe you'd go with a different silver. But, what's the hobby aspect of like, hey, this is a really cool silver bar versus, okay, I want to own 5 ounces of silver and hopefully I can sell that in the future. And most of this advice is also applying to owning the physical silver, which already implies a little bit of collectability, because I think, there's a lot of debates about paper silver. I just think part of the fun and part of the reason to do it does revolve around the physical silver. But if it's a pure investment, you purely think the price of silver is due to rise, then maybe it's a better move to go with a paper silver, because you're going to have less fees and less transaction costs. You can't buy and sell silver super liquid. You have to, whether it's selling it back to a dealership and losing on that spread on the buy and then again spread on the sell, or just putting in the effort to sell it to another collector, there's always going to be some of that involved. So I think the most important piece of advice is about to be the next one, and it's buying low premium, easily tradable and liquid silver. Now, that means you shouldn't be buying any of the 40% silver because it's a lot tougher to trade. I know how that works. You shouldn't be buying any silver bullets whatsoever. They're cool, 25 ounces of silver, but people really, there's not much demand for the silver bullets. You probably shouldn't be buying things like individual rounds because it's really tough to buy them for silver price. Of course, if you can buy this at a 0% premium or a 5 or 10% premium, there might be a little bit of numismatic premium involved in that. You definitely shouldn't be buying Mint State 69 graded silver eagles, and there's probably some other things that you should probably avoid too. I say the best thing to do is aim for 90% junk silver. And there's different debates about, do you want it to be super, able to be split up? In the case that you wanted to split things up, I would say I kind of like silver half dollars, and there is an argument to be made that I think has validity about 90% silver 1964 Kennedys. For people that don't know silver, they might be mistaken as not being 90% silver or less believable, and the premiums on them versus something like a Franklin half dollar that's pretty worn, where there's not a ton of rarity, is really the same. So it might make sense to buy the older Franklin half dollars. Walking Liberty half dollars, there begins to be a tiny premium where if you can buy them for the same price, definitely go with the Walking Liberty, but it's probably not worth paying up purely for the Walking Liberty. And then certainly the case, same thing with barbers. And then if you want, say you're buying $6 face value of 90% silver, you could have 11 half dollars and 5 silver dimes, just because that way you can go in increments of 10 cents if you want it. But I don't even think that that's a big consideration. If you want something in more of a bar form, I think 10-ounce silver bars are sort of the ideal range for a silver bar, because I think you can go with a 1-ounce silver bar, but at that point I think it's better to go with something like a round for really low premium, just because I think it's a little tougher to store the 1-ounce silver bar super well. Those 1-ounce rounds might look something like this. But the biggest thing also is going to be involved in this is finding places that you trust to purchase the silver from. And I think a trusted local coin shop, they're probably going to have some silver coming in. One strategy that I haven't heard talked about too much is to commit to them, say, I'll buy your next $10 face value of silver, 90%. Let me know, like right now, what your premium is going to be. And then you have to follow up on buying it from them, but they might be able to get you a better rate if they know they can purchase the silver, and then immediately after they purchase it, you trust them to accurately report how much they paid for it. They might be able to make a 15%, 20% spread, and that might be, a nice little sale for them where they can keep it moving quickly, and they don't have to go through the process of sitting on the inventory or shipping it out to a refiner that doesn't pay quite as well. And that also goes along with being polite to your dealers, trying to support them when you can. If you don't have anything close by, I do have an affiliate link. If you purchase from sdbullion.com/TT and you have never purchased from SD Bullion before, I'll receive $20. And that's a great way to support Treasure Town without having to send me money directly, but it only works if you're a new customer with SD Bullion. Now, the last 2 pieces of advice that I think go in line with keeping it simple and also not being too silly. You don't want to buy when the price of silver is skyrocketing up. I think I've definitely made this mistake. Not only is this not a great piece of silver, but the time that I bought it, I paid way too much for it. I paid probably like 15% above spot for it because silver had gone up a ton the day before. Now, thankfully, a lot of this silver I've acquired at prices when the price was dropping, and I was able to pay also low premium for it. But that's just something that is really easy to get caught up in, and don't feed into like tons and tons of silver hype content. I think silver is awesome. Obviously, I always say this, I've allocated towards it, but you don't want to buy into too much of the hype content. I think that can be sort of a mistake. I don't think that like driving up the price of paper silver is going to bring down the big banks. I don't think that makes sense. I think you're not putting your money to good use if it's sort of to buy silver to take revenge on somebody, or I don't know. There's all sorts of ideas to squeeze. I think the people that you squeeze in a silver squeeze are people who just want to purchase a little bit of physical silver. Instead, the physical low ounce amounts, low actual silver weight amounts, the prices and premiums on those go way up. But it doesn't really matter for the big industrial uses of thousands and thousands of ounces of silver, where you have to also remember that the actual silver going into something, this is like a big thing with uranium, where the actual silver that's being used is not a huge overall percentage of the price of what's being the output. Like uranium, I did some research on uranium. There's a ton being produced very low cost in Kazakhstan, and there's also some low cost assets up in Canada. But the thing is, if uranium price went up 5 times, it would still represent a very small percentage of like a nuclear reactor that's using uranium's cost. So it's relatively able to absorb that hit. I'm not quite as sure if silver falls into that bucket, but I'd imagine on a big solar project, the primary cost probably is not going to be the silver in it. So the whole point is, I don't think that you should be getting into silver just to crush, again, the big banks or something like that. Buying even a few $100,000, in my opinion, which is probably more than most people anywhere should be doing, doesn't really make a huge amount of sense. So not to feed into too much silver hype content, at the same time, I'm always interested what's going on in the dollar. It does seem like there's higher inflation, what's going on in a lot of different places. But just something that I always think, got to keep your head on your shoulders, not get too caught up in things, and keep things simple so that you can understand. Again, if your goal is just to have fun purely with silver, maybe you can go around, purchase a gold-plated 10-won silver panda from China. But that is not a great way to make money. If the silver price goes up, you could easily have gotten much more silver for the amount of money that would be used to purchase that in sort of the 90% junk silver form. That's really my biases towards this 90% silver, and I haven't been sponsored by 90% silver, the entity, to do it. I just think it makes a lot of sense. Everybody knows what it is. High pureness and fineness silver, easily tradable, easily understood that I've got, say, 4 of them. That's 2 face value of silver, and there's a quick multiplier to understand the value. And I think that just keeping that mentality with silver, also with gold, though there can be some differences there. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video, but with other investments, normally super complicated stuff, especially for the person that's watching this video, myself included as I make it, keeping it simple, it's always a better strategy. And maybe even not with investments or collecting, but really anything in life as well. Thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a positive comment or maybe a negative one if you don't like what I said, and check out the sdbullion.com/TT if you haven't ever used it before and have never purchased from SD Bullion, and have a wonderful new year. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated. I've also got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so you can follow me there. TreasureTownYT.com is the main channel website. Definitely give that a visit. I've got a lot of information about me up there and the channel. CoinGrabBag.com as well currently redirects there, but it's some good opportunities for very fair grab bags, both made by me and other sellers. A lot of different options, so that's a good way to support. There's also TreasureTownCoins.com. In the future, my coin dealing operation will be done out of that website. CoinMeltPrice.com for updates on the melt prices of your coins, both US and world. A lot of resources in that website. And then CoinsMetalsCards.com, being developed right now as a marketplace and news source for coins, metals, cards, and collectibles in general. So I'll see you on my future videos. Looking forward to seeing you there, and hope you have a good day.